coming back to, we are resuming our discussion on MLA Handbook 9th edition. We looked at the content page. We checked the content page in the last class, and we saw this formatting of a research project. That's what we have done right now with all the required formatting, margin, text formatting, title. Actually, these things are described here. Then after that, paper and printing, all these to be done. All these are to be done at the end of your submission only. So we will come back to that once you finish off your typing, submission, proofreading, everything. Okay. Now then we have mechanics of prose. I told you mechanics of prose in that case. In that case, what? We have to check out, we have to look at the important factors about language itself. The punctuation, or language consistency, tense consistency, all these ideas which we have already there in mind, those are given with the additional precise way of explanation you get here with the examples. If it comes in this way, what to do? If this is in that way, what to do? So every time you are getting some examples in this new MLA handbook, so that it becomes, the text is bulky comparatively. When you compare it with the former editions, it's bulky, but at the same time it's beneficial as well. So we know all these details, and according to your requirement you have to check out. When you have some doubt regarding using commas, you have to go back. When you have doubt regarding plurals, you have to take this reference. That's it. Then I told you the next part is about inclusive language. The third part, in principles of inclusive language. And we usually discuss that. Without hurting others, how to use the language. That is the crux, the major point behind that chapter is that. We always talk about euphemistic expressions. Euphemistic expression, die. Instead of that, you use pass away. To make it more mild. To avoid the shock behind that term, or that shock that follows the term. So we have different way of using or expressing things. And in principles of inclusive language, it is more, you have to be more careful, because you are presenting this research paper, this is a contribution on your part to academics, to the community of readers who are interested in the topics that you select, and you are committed towards them to maintain the standard. Without hurting others' feelings, you have to present your points. So that's what you mean by principles of inclusive language. We will come to that later. But before that, I told you we have to go directly to this fourth part, that is documenting sources and overview, and then the list of works cited, then the sixth main part. See how long it is. How many topics are there? Citing sources in the text. That is even more important. Only after citing sources, you can go to works cited list creation. So that is it. So according to our order of doing things, we have to choose we have to give importance to our discussion of the reference text as well. Okay, but in the beginning, we are going to start with the documenting sources, an overview. Documenting sources. See the easy way of getting navigated from one part to other. Just at a click, you can go to the topic. You don't have to search the page number or anything. Just take the content page, click there, and it is hyperlinked. Your titles are hyperlinked. In this text, the titles are hyperlinked to the content. Now, just wait. Yeah, documenting sources and overview. Here, what do you mean by documenting sources? I have been giving you ideas regarding choosing a primary source, then reading it, or you are forming a research question. You start reading a text, and you feel at a point that, oh, why this is like this, why this character is hurt in this way, or why these characters are exploiting the other characters, or many other socially relevant contemporary issues may come or stuck your brain. There you get a research question, so that your research topic becomes relevant. You discuss it with your guide, they approve it, then you start doing the research. This is the process that you are going on with. And then in between we told you to choose or to have extra reading or quoting something else from external other resources, not just your primary resource, but something. If you are choosing a theory, see, for example, you are doing something on feminism, you read a text where a woman character is suffering, she is denied of her basic human rights. You're reading and reading and reading. You analyze the character or characters, their plight. Think about us as untouchable, the issue of untouchability, casteism, all those things are discussed there. But that is not enough. That you are stuck. You are stuck to the primary resource. You are reading. You're making very valuable reading. Your own ideas you bring into your material. Everything is perfect and fine. But at the same time, another major requirement or demand is there in the taking up of any research work. That is, yeah, you are reading something else extra, and that you term as secondary resources. There you need documenting those sources. That is, you are quoting from another book. I told you to take the example of feminism. You are depending the theory of feminism to analyze the plight of a woman character of your primary resource. നിങ്ങൾ ചൂസ് ചെയ്ത പ്രൈമറി റിസോഴ്സിലെ വുമൺ ക്യാരക്ടറിന്റെ പ്ലൈറ്റ്, ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകൾ, അത് നിങ്ങൾ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ ഓൾറെഡി ചൂസ് ചെയ്ത തിയറി ഫെമിനിസം ആണെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുക. ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ഇനഫ് ദാറ്റ് you add your viewpoints one upon the other, but one more requirement or the major requirement is you read a lot on the theory, you choose other secondary materials, and then you quote from that. I gave you that live demonstration how to do that. Say for example, you know beginning theory, you learned that essay towards the feminist poetics. All those ideas are already, you are introduced with almost all the contemporary theories in different semesters. In your case, it's very easy, because all the theories, most of the theories are introduced to you. Either in-depth study with a modern literary theory paper, or at least as an introduction in literary criticism and theory paper in the beginning, initial stage. So there you know something about the theories, and you know most of the best texts to be referred, to be used as reference. We at times at least we refer the text and we tell you this is the best or these are the texts that is to be referred, that have to be referred. And then you try quoting from the beginning theory, you take a definition. Then you have to quote that as you have to take that as the secondary source. Then you have to acknowledge Peter Barry. Who is Peter Barry? The editor of the text. So that is the way you have to. So you have to make things clear and perfect. And that's the point at which you have to see, you have to talk about documenting the resources and overview. So Peter Barry, sorry to say, it is he's not the Peter is not the editor but the writer. Sometimes when you have a lot of essays in a text, you have the person as the editor. Maybe essays written by different writers getting collected by a person. That also is possible. Okay, so this is the way you have documenting resources and overview. Academic writing is a conversation that draws on research about a topic or question. Mentioned you, research question. Okay, conversation that draws on research about a topic. That's what you have selected. Or a question, a disturbing question comes to your mind. Why such and such characters only suffer? Or sometimes you identify with the characters. Sometimes you see them as the representative of a group of people around you, acquainted to you, in front of your eyes, so that you would like to know something, you would like to learn about them. And that's where your research becomes relevant. Okay, now, then different other parts like scholars write for their peers, communicating the result of their research through books, journal articles, and other forms of publication. Here, you can confirm, modify, correct, or refute the work done by previous scholars as well. That's what I told you. Every time you have to be very careful to make it very authentic. Sometimes you come to the department and ask for the former research works for the models. Or sometimes we send the soft copies. During this pandemic time, okay, we get all those soft copies also we collect. One hard copy is kept in the department. So we have to get it as the model for you people, the coming batches. There either you read some of the project works and you see that okay, these points are very valid. Confirm, you can modify, you can correct. Sometimes you find some errors. No, this is a factual error. You find out. Or you can refute, you can agree or disagree by previous scholars, on the work done by previous scholars. In this response, they quote, paraphrase, and cite sources. These are our main points. You quote, paraphrase, and citing resources. What do you mean by that? You quote from other sources. You paraphrase. What do you mean by paraphrasing? What do you mean by paraphrasing? Paraphrasing means, you have an idea, you have a lengthy paragraph and you make it shortened. But you at the same time, you know that it's not my idea. It's not my own. I have taken it from some other resource. So, what you can do perfectly and decently well is, you acknowledge the resource. Acknowledging means, you say that I have taken you with all integrity, as demanded and expected out of any person, any researcher, that you acknowledge the research, the source means, I have taken it from the text written by such and such writer or editor. This is it. Paraphrase or citing resources by using a system of documentation. A system of documentation. Did you find it somewhere? Definitely. I gave you the model, where you have a list of works cited and the major elements that are common to all the sources. So, for example, or to list out a few, author's name, title of the book, uh, publisher's name of the publisher, then year of publication. These details are common to most of the works or to the materials, resources that we access from different platforms. Not just from print media, now we have a lot of e-resources, electronic resources, different sites, starting from Wikipedia to different multiple other modes of available resources. Now we have to see how to do that. A system of documentation directs readers to the source of a quotation, paraphrased idea, fact, or other borrowed material. System of documentation directs the readers to the source of a quotation. I told you, when you have a particular quotation caught and you are given a page number, then at the end of the work cite or with the work citation list, you have all the details given there. And I told you, the chance is there that one particular text can have different uh, revised editions, or one same text by the same author can be taken or published by different publishers at different time period. Okay, see for example, in 1990, a writer opts for agreement with a particular publisher, and the publisher they publishes the text, some 1,000 copies. Once it is completely sold, either the writer can approach the other the same publisher for the second edition, or he or she can opt for another better or another preferable publisher for the next time. Or even with the same publisher, the person may opt for another cover page. Even print quality may be different, alignment of the pages. Just think, for example, if you choose 12 font size instead of 12, if you have 14 font style, number of pages of any text can change. So in the same way, any text can have different multiple versions, multiple copies, multiple editions, different editions with a different cover pages, different page numbers. But one thing is uh, important, that the text that you refer, if you get the whole details in a perfect manner, if a person goes and checks out that text, that particular page number should show the quote that you have given there. Hope that idea is clear. Just type down the name of a text. Just search in Google for Umberto Eco's famous The Name of the Rose. You can see in different cover pages the same text, different covers. That means that's not may not be by the same publisher every time. So that number of pages may be different, if not the content. Sometimes even the contents may be, sometimes you have added chapters, revised chapters. Everything is possible. But once you document, once you refer a particular text, particular edition, then you document that accordingly. You don't have to be bothered about any other text but about this particular part. So that if you get 15 as the page number for a particular quote, after a few years, another scholar comes and checks your writing, your research paper, and goes and cross-checks the text that you mentioned here. The person should be able to locate that particular quote in the text where that you have mentioned. Okay, if it is a text printed by vintage publisher, then only in that, if you are given it to be 15, page number 15, that quote should be there in that edition, that particular year of publication is very important in that regard. Okay, so a system of documentation directs the readers to the source of a quotation, paraphrased idea, fact, or other borrowed material. You're borrowing the material, you're borrowing the idea. Okay, yes. Now, references are formatted in a standard way. Now, standard way means it's mainly in a consistent way. so that they can be quickly understood by all. I told you, if it is the name of a text, it should be given in italics. So anything coming immediately after the name of the text must be the publisher's name. Sometimes we if it is a common name in our cultural context, you can easily identify. Otherwise, it's likely that you are confused that if it is the name of the publisher or if it is name of the writer, so that it comes only at the position allotted for that it should come. Only after the name of the text you should give the name of the publisher. It's not like name of the publisher looks like a person's name, so that let us get it in the beginning. It should not be done. In the beginning, you have to start mainly most often with the author's name only. That also in the reversed order. If it is William Shakespeare, it should be Shakespeare, William. Okay, so that is it. You try reversing your own names, then you will understand how it is to be done. Toni Morrison, Monism, Tory. Maya Angelou, Angelo, Maya. Kamala Das, Das, Kamala. So this is the way you have to reverse that name. So title names with the initials. How to do that? We will get that reference here in the MLA handbook itself. We will come to that. Now, so it's like just like the common language that you follow the standard and you stick to the standard so that it is easily understood by everyone. Now, then it's think for example about the mathematical symbols. Plus sign tells you to add numbers the same way. So plus everywhere when it is there in a in between a mathematical problem, if you have plus symbol, you know it's not you have to add the numbers, not subtracting. You know the symbol for multiplication. At the same time, when x, that's that same symbol when if it is in a an essay, English essay, you know you read it as x, the letter x. But in a mathematical class, you don't have that confusion because that's what you mean by common standard. You're following the common for standard as given to you there. The symbol of subtraction. Think about it. In an essay, it may be a hyphen for us, right? But at the same time, in a mathematical problem, you subtract the number. You don't read it as a hyphen. You don't consider it a hyphen. So that's the way. In this documentation, you have the standard ways to read and understand, locate things, locate ideas. Various elements in a documentation system tell you how to understand and use information. In the beginning, if you get the name, you have to rectify, you have to understand that it's the name of the writer. In the reversed order, if you have to get the proper name of the person, if you want to take that out of the context of word citation, you have to make it again reversed. Kamala Das. Das, Kamala, it is given there. So if you have to get the name of the writer, it's Kamala. Das Kamala, you have to reverse again, but you are taking that out of the context. And you have to use the information according to your requirement. And now, this documentation system, it makes things comprehensible, verifiable, and a means of referring to one another's work. It makes it very smooth to identify the facts. Now, then that kind of a system allows the writers to seek the relevant publications in the course of research, which are the resources that this researcher has used, and all such details can be assumed or taken from that, and so that they can learn from and build on the work of others. So if you want to see, so if another researcher comes and notes down a project work on the topic of her or his interest, the person sees a former research on the topic or something related with that. the resources, the secondary resources or even the primary resources, the details, this person can make use to find out the text. At least the name of the text he or she can take. And they can make it as their reference text later. Okay, so by giving credit to the precursors whose ideas they work with, scholars allows future researchers interested in the history of a conversation to trace the line of inquiry back to its beginning. That's the main idea. As we know about beginning theory text, at least from classroom or some other academic platform, you know certain theories are available in that text. So you go and take some of the quotes, some paraphrasing you do from there. Some texts you may not be aware. So you need help. You need suggestions from others. We refer more texts during the time of your research work. Sometimes we may know a few more texts, name a few more texts on theory or literary history or mythology. According to your research work, sometimes we get you suggestions. Sometimes you get it from your friends. Sometimes you come across such details from some of the internet resources, maybe. So you are getting help from different sources. Okay, then. Now, practicing a consistent documentation style and learning how to read a writer's citation helps establish trust between researchers and their audience. That's the main thing. Now, you put it in quotes when you bring or borrow another's ideas so that your credibility is not at stake. You become more credible. You are not plagiarizing others' ideas. So that is very important, and it's a key component of academic integrity. Academic integrity, it's very important. Otherwise, you have to meet with the consequences of plagiarism. Nasty crime. That is it. So academic integrity is very important as far as any sector, any writing, anything is concerned. Here in the MLA system of reference, in the text, now it's a list of entry of works cited. How to make it? So writers use a template of core elements. That's what I told you. The core elements means what? Elements that most sources have, such as author, title, publication date, author, title. One more important thing is publisher's name. To cite any type of work. That is it. So every time when you go and refer another resource, sometimes that may be a text that you have access only for a few days. You write down a lot of quotes from that. You type down that quotes from the resource and you get it back to either you return it to the library, or if it is from your friends, you get it back to them. If you haven't written down all these details, the major details like the name of the writer, the text title, publisher's name, year of publication, you have all the content required from the text at your hand, in a safe way, but you don't have access to all these. And at the end of the research work submission, you are running here and there to collect these details. Sometimes you may have details of the same text in the internet, but that may not be the same text that you referred. In internet resources, most often the latest edition and the details are given, in which the page number of the quote that you have taken from the printed version, if it is 15, in the latest version it may be 20 or 25. There you make an error. So it's very important that at the same moment of your taking some quotes or paraphrasing or quoting something from any text, any external, any secondary resource, you take down, you please note down all the major details required for creating works cited list, the core elements. And so all works according to standard criterion provides a comprehensive method for evaluating sources and certain bibliographic entries based on that evaluation. So that we have to make it very consistent and comprehensive. So, and again, clearly distinguish their ideas from ideas of others. Now, what do you mean by this citation? Why are you putting it in quotes? Because you have to clearly distinguish your own ideas from others' ideas. You take it as your supporting evidence, supporting details, but you don't have the provision to make it your own, to present it your own, where you plagiarize others. Plagiarize means academic theft. Actually, it's almost equivalent to you are stealing others' material, precious materials. But how does it feel like when you steal others' gold or diamond ring or whatever? So the same thing, it's more than that. The ideas from a person, the hard work of a person, no one is having the right to present it their own. It's the cheapest thing that you can do. So it varies from one line to one paragraph to the highest level of even plagiarizing the whole text, taking one person's whole book, whole text as another one's. And there you have to meet the repercussions, the legal repercussions that can follow you. So everything is crime, everything is a crime where you present your idea, even if it is just one sentence. That is very important for the person who brings up that idea. Where when you present that idea, if you can decently acknowledge them, if you decently distinguish your own from theirs, then you are safe. You have academic integrity. Okay, yes. So that is the next main point, why plagiarism is a serious matter, that we shall discuss in the next session, I think. Okay, and most of the details pointed out following the shall be like this. So avoiding plagiarism, how to avoid plagiarism, giving credit to others, how important it is that you give credit to others, how to paraphrase or when to paraphrase. Paraphrasing is different from quoting. Direct quotation means you are taking the same sentence from the writer. But paraphrasing means you take the idea. At the same time, you are sure that without reading the text, you don't have that idea your own. So there also you have to acknowledge the resource. Okay? Yes. How to paraphrase, and you have the models given here. When you have a passage in a source, how to paraphrase it. So this is the way this MLA handbook makes everything very clear, crystal clear. How to paraphrase and give credit. It's not direct quotation, but at the same time you have another next main title, quotation, quoting. That's what you use most often. More than paraphrasing, most of the researchers prefer quotation, quoting itself, because it's comparatively easy, but at the same time to follow the required format, it's very important and difficult as well. Not difficult, but you have to get to punctuate it properly well. Whether to put the full stop before the quote ends or after the quotation marks. All these are very important. You cannot do it according to your idea and your convenience. There is a model for that. So quoting, how to quote resources, when to quote, how to quote and give credit. So the example is given here within quotes. Langma culture, the very term is in quotes because it's not yours. It's not the way you write language. It's not as simple as you write down the term language. Langma culture is from other person. We know, you know, everyone knows that it's not your own. Because there is a person who is behind that. There is a brain behind that. that coining of the term maybe. So here you have to use it. You cannot use it as a common word, common knowledge. Language is not such kind of a term, but language culture is something different. So in the same way, you have to see every time how to cite this work. When you cite the quotation, the idea that you have taken. So models are given every time. When documentation is not needed, that also is given. When it is a very common knowledge. Like some basic biographical facts. Think about the introduction part that you have prepared right now. Biographical facts. These are common. No one uses the creative power to write down that. Sometimes it may be one person's sentence. It's good that you restructure it. But basic biographical facts, when you write about an author or another contributor, you don't have to quote that. Otherwise, some people's whole introduction should be in quotes. I'm joking, but that's a fact. Because even the restructuring doesn't take place. What is given in the Wikipedia, it is completely taken and presented as something very important and very as part of their hard work. And even sometimes the request is that, oh, please check it out for errors. To make it more authentic, sometimes they change like goes to go. So that when the teacher corrects it, again you make it according to Wikipedia where go becomes goes. Hope it is clear. അല്ലേ വിക്കിപീഡിയയിൽ നിന്ന് എടുക്കും. അപ്പൊ എന്തെങ്കിലും റീസ്ട്രക്ചറിങ് വേണം എന്നുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? ഐ ഗോ എന്നുള്ളതിനെ ഒന്നായിരിക്കട്ടെ ഗോസ്. So that when it is given for correction, നമ്മൾ നേരെ I go ആക്കി തരും. So that again it becomes I go as same as Wikipedia. So it should not be like that. Your restructuring also should follow a basic standard. That's all what I have to say. Common knowledge like some natural facts, basic biographical facts and such things you don't have to quote. And passing mentions, all those things you can. Allusions, sometimes some religious allusions and all. It's not something to be quoted always. That has become part of the well-known conversations or it's part of almost like everyone quotes it. So that even without your quoting, everyone can, people can understand that this is not your own. Otherwise, you have to do. Okay, allusions, to be or not to be. To be or not to be. Allusions. So usually you do not need to cite the source. That is it. You have to put it in quotes, but citation may not be that necessary. To be or not to be should be in quotes, but should not be. You don't have to write like Shakespeare, William, Hamlet. That you can avoid. That's all what it is told. But at the same time, most of the external references demand quotation on your part. Okay, we will come to that later in the next session. Thank you so much for listening and please go on with your research work smoothly. Thank you.